I definitely want to talk a little bit about your personal content creation journey and how that's evolved. You have a course that helps personal brands build an audience, but in terms of systemizing this, right? What are your what are your frameworks today on creating that content generation system from zero, right? I think that's a helpful way to contextualize some of the next questions I want to dig into.
From zero. So you mean like if you were just starting out today, like how you'd go about?
Yep.
Yeah. So um, one that I really like, and so Ali Abdal is a YouTuber. I think he's got like 5 million subscribers or something. So he teaches a course on how to become a YouTuber, and he hammers in the just 3 stages of basically anything. It's like one is get going, the next is get good, third is get smart. If you're not currently doing it, just do it. Doesn't matter. Like he said for YouTube, like a lot of people get in the stage where it's like, oh, I need to get the right microphone. Oh, I need to buy the camera. Oh shit, I need the light. So he's like, record the first 10 videos. Just grab your phone and record it. You don't even think about it. Just pick something and do it. And he says like the first 50 videos are for you, the next 50 are for the audience. So it's just, it's kind of cliche, but just like if you're not currently do it, just sit down and write about something and press post. Once you've developed the habit of just doing it, then you can start worrying about, okay, I need to actually pick a topic that's, related to something that I currently sell or I could sell and I'd want to sell. And I need to learn how to copyright because, that's the main thing. If you're not like a really good copywriter, it you're not going to see the results, and that's just a skill that you have to get better at, and that just is a combination of doing it a lot and sitting down and just studying the work of really good writers. And you could read copywriting books, you could just read really good, really well written books, or you can go through like Readwise as a resource where it just shows all of the basically top creators based on the number of times people have saved tweets to Readwise. You can just go through those, identify, and just like try to figure out, like reverse engineer, like how they're writing in a way that you're not. Like, and yeah, so I think a lot of it early on is just like getting going. Most people don't. And if they do, they post 3 times. You know, even people go through Ship 30 for 30, the cohort for just getting people to write every day. A lot of them will write for every day for the 30 days and then basically never write again. So it's like you just need to start doing it. And then once you can convince yourself to keep doing it, then you can worry about like getting better. And what this system is for doing it really depends on each person. Like I'm not an extremely regimented person. Um, Justin Welsh is like, he like his days scheduled out, and he probably hits this time, and he writes until that time, and he's scheduling 3 weeks in advance, and he's got his probably content calendar figured out for the next 6 months. That's not me. That's not my partner Caitlin Burgoyne either. We're a lot more like, it's Tuesday. I'm gonna finish for the rest of the week, but it's gonna be more based on inspired or what I want to write about or think about. Um, Dan, like use the example of Dan Go grew on Twitter. He was tweeting, I think, 350 times a day, and that includes comments. And it's like, okay, if you do that for 8 hours a day, what is that? It's like still 45 tweets an hour. So it's like basically one a minute. Whereas my co-founder grew to basically the same size, 250,000 followers, by tweeting literally once a week. But he would spend 10 to 20 hours doing it. So it's like completely different process. And it's just based on like, what do you prefer? What's your personality? And what's something that you can like, if I were to try to make myself very regimented to do this, I probably wouldn't have fun and I wouldn't be doing it for the next 5 years. But if I can find a system where that I enjoy and I'm able to do it, then do that. So but it can take you a while to. You have to know your yourself and your personality and your working style to be able to do that. So
For sure. I personally, I practice meditation and mindfulness a lot, and I realize that sometimes when I schedule something in my calendar, like create, and then create comes up, I'm like, oh shit, I'm not ready to create right now. And then it'll be 11 o'clock at night. I'm ready to go to bed. And like all these things start coming into my mind. And I'm like, oh, I got to write that down.
yeah, and it's like, if you were to go, no, now's not the time. This is not the writing time in my calendar. I have to wait until 10 a.m. tomorrow. And so, yeah, it really just, I think it needs to depend on the preferred style of the person. Um, but it's like if you do schedule something in your calendar, I think like it's a good habit to develop that if it's in there and the reminders come up, like you should do it. Because I think as soon as you say no once, you're just going to say no increasingly more. So
Let me ask though, like, I know sometimes that you can post quickly on these platforms and it comes out to be more of like a brain fart if it's just like a simple, quick thing that you thought of and you want to put down. How long do you typically spend on posts, and I guess maybe LinkedIn, Twitter?
purely text post, I'd say at least 30 minutes, hour, 2 hours. For a carousel, I mean, that can, if you have to design it, that could take like 8 hours, right? So, but yeah, I think depending on the style of post, like I think those satirical ones and everything do better if they're just like, you just do it really quickly. Cause I think if you heavily edit it, it doesn't have the same sort of organic human feel to it. Like it doesn't sound like somebody's saying it. And I think for those sort of like funnier, off the cuff sort of things, you lose something. Um, but if you're trying to like methodically teach something or whatever, then it's best to like sit there and edit it and get it. But it's even still, it's like as I said, my co-founder, he'd spend probably 20 hours working on a Twitter thread just because he's, that's his personality. Like he's just fairly OCD in a way where it's just like he just wants this to be perfect, and he is completely fine editing the same thing 50 times. Me, after I edit it once or twice, I just like cannot bring myself to do it anymore, right? So yeah.
Are you talking about Julian Shapiro?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And I've learned a lot from him as well. He has a long tweet about mental models, which is really strong. So,
Yeah, I mean his the guides that he puts on his website, one of the things that really, like, our business was bootstrap. We started an agency and he had a small audience. Like I'm talking, he probably had like 6,000 Twitter followers and, a little bit of a newsletter list, and he had created like a muscle building guide on his website that was well received and getting hundreds of thousands of views a year. So it's like not necessarily the perfect audience, for a growth marketing agency. And we had leveraged just like some of the people I knew. We had them as clients, and then he took the first several months of our of working together, like part half of his time or whatever, to write this guide. And it was like he was doing it half the day, evenings, weekends, writing it for months before he posted it. And it's like, maybe 8 pages or something on a website. Um, so it's like he very methodically goes through and does it and writes and rewrites and rewrites and rewrites. So, and as I said, like I wouldn't be able to do that. Like I have a test in university, and it's like by the second time I read my notes, I'm just like, oh, I cannot do this anymore.